Hi everybody, happy Tuesday. It's time for another Tuesday Live at 5. I hope you're having a good week. I hope it is warmer where you are than it is here. It has been a crazy winter. This month of February has been nuts. We had another big blast of winter Sunday into Monday, another buses canceled day. I was saying to my son on the way home from school today that I'm going to actually count up the number of days he's actually been at school, and I think it's probably fewer than the number of days he's been home this month, which is crazy. And what's more is they're calling for another dump of snow tomorrow. Crazy stuff. I am so ready for spring, and today's projects will probably give you an idea of my mindset right now. So today we are focusing on the Dear Doily bundle. I'll just bring in the catalog here so I can show you where to find it. It's on page 47 of the Occasions Catalogue. The bundle is here. It includes the stamp set, which has these beautiful detailed doily images, some lovely sentiments, and then the set of dies. Now, it's really hard to see the dies in the catalog, so I'm going to show you the dies like in real life. So there they are. This die is really cool because without this border piece, it just cuts the doily piece, but it doesn't actually cut it out. So you get a really cool negative effect. And I'm actually going to use that on one of the projects. But when you add the border to it, it actually cuts it out. So you actually get a doily. This lovely wreath sort of image, which is just beautiful. A couple of framelits that coordinate with stamp images, a nice cute little border piece which we're going to use as well, and I'm looking at that. I think I forgot to cut one, but that's okay, I can do it. And a cute little bow. Okay, so that's the dies. There again is the stamp set. All right, and that bundle is priced at $70 in Canada. Okay. All right, now as you can see, spring was on my mind. I was going with happy, bright, cheery colors. I am ready for spring flowers and green grass. I don't know about you. But anyhow, let's get to it. We're going to start with this project today. So I'll set the other two out of the way. This is one actually that I designed for my upcoming card buffet this week. And I thought, hey, why not show everybody how to do it? And even those who are coming to my buffet, if they're tuning in, will know how to put it together when they get here. So let me bring in my supplies. Got lots of stamping to do on this one. My color combo for this one is Sahara Sand, Fleur de Flamingo, and Pool Party. Okay, I really like this combo. It's not one that I really would have thought to put together. A Fleur de Flamingo to me sometimes seems a little bit bright to put with these two colors, but it really acts as a nice accent on this color palette. So I'm going to start with a piece of DSP. I'll get my sample out of the way here. So this DSP you may not recognize. It is from the Painted Seasons bundle, or Painted Seasons, yeah, it is the bundle. It's the paper pack that's part of that bundle. On the back side of it is this beautiful winter paper. It's got the pine boughs and the pine cones and the berries. But this side is a great geometric pattern in a watercolor pool party. So we are going to use that side. I love that Stampin' Up does that. I love that all of their papers, excuse me, are more neutral and geometric on one side, which is great. Okay, so I'm going to start with my Sahara Sand ink. I'm going to ink up this beautifully detailed doily image. I'm going to stamp it once, sort of down in the corner there. Okay, that's the only time I'm going to use that image on this card. Then, I'm not going to put this away. I'm going to need the Sahara Sand in a minute, so we'll just set it aside. I'm going to bring in my Fleur de Flamingo. Hi, Kath. Have you had your supper club yet? Mine's in the fridge. That's what I'm having after I'm done here. So now I'm going to take and stamp my doily image. This is the Fleur de Flamingo one, the smaller doily. I'm going to stamp it a few times. Okay, and again, whenever you're doing this sort of random look, you always want to stamp off the edge of the paper. All right, the purpose of that is to give a sense of movement. Okay, it wouldn't have the same feel if all of these images were on the paper. Okay, it also helps to ground your project by having them extend off the edge. All right, now I'm taking the Pool Party ink and I'm going to ink up this little, it's almost like a medallion, this one. It's not really a doily, but I like that it's a little bit more solid and contrasts nicely. Okay, just like that. That's all there is to it. Really easy. Next, I can go ahead and add my ribbon. So here we have some, this is actually, it's not Fleur de Flamingo ribbon, this is powder pink ribbon, but it actually works because this is sort of a watercolor look. It's okay that this doesn't exactly match this. It actually works just fine. So I'm going to cut about a 4.5 inch piece here, add some glue dots. I turned the heater on down here before my video. I turned it on and then went to get Max so that it was warm in here when I came back. And my, oh, you know what? Before I do that, I actually need to stick on my little wreath because it will not stick well over top of the ribbon. So let me grab my little wreath. Now this is die cut using the dies. I have, before I die cut, I put some of the multi-purpose adhesive. Hi Debbie, how are you? Here it's kind of wet down there in Virginia. So I put some of the multi-purpose adhesive sheets on the back of the white cardstock and then die cut. And that makes it super easy to adhere this. So if I just peel off the backing, with any luck, all the little bits are going to come with it. Do you see that? Now I still got a couple, but most of them came right off of there. I don't know if you can see that they came right off, which is great. There's no poking, there's no using the die brush. They just come off with the backing. And then you just get rid of the last few holdouts there. Just a couple here. Get rid of those. There we go. And then you get rid of the ones that are stuck to your fingers, right? Where do they go? They go on the floor, of course. Hey, Donna, how are ya? I can't wait for Sunday. I'm so excited about it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick my die cut right here onto the front of my card. Okay, now I'm ready to go ahead and add that ribbon. So I've already put the glue dots on. And I'm going to lay that across the front of my paper, just like that, and try and get it semi-straight. All right, and then I have a piece of Pool Party cardstock. Now, I forgot to mention my dimensions. So this DSP is cut to 4 by 5.25 inches, okay? And then the mat that's going to go behind it is 1/8 of an inch larger on both sides. So it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, okay? And then I'm going to take a little bit of fast fuse and put it on the back of my DSP. And I'm going to layer it onto my mat. Hopefully centered, just like that. Okay. All right, now I can go ahead and add that to the front of my card. So here is my card base. It is cut 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored it in the middle at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to fold it in half on that score line. And look at this. I remembered my bone folder today. Are you proud of me? Usually I forget. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. So same thing. I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of my card. Come on, work with me. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to glue that onto my card base. And I'm just going to have a teeny tiny little border on this one, like that. Okay. All right, now it's time to stamp our sentiments. So here I have a stitched circle that I've die cut using the Stitched Shapes framelits. And this sentiment is from the Beautiful Bouquet. No, Beautiful Bouquet? Yes, it is. Beautiful Bouquet stamps. I had to double check the name. And what we often forget, or I often forget, is when I think of this stamp set, I think about, you know, building a bouquet, but look at all the awesome sentiments that come in this set. So I often forget how beautiful the fonts in this set are and how great the sentiments. So I pulled this out, and lo and behold, it had exactly the one that I wanted for this particular project. So I wanted this to be a wedding or anniversary card. Hi, Alfie. How are you? Hope you're having a good day. Are you moved yet? I couldn't remember what your possession date was. Alfie's moving closer to me, which is going to be great. So I've stamped "Wishing you a day of love and happy memories" onto my circle. Then I'm going to come back with that smaller doily image and my Fleur de Flamingo ink. And ink up the doily. And I'm just going to stamp it just in that bottom corner there. I don't want to overpower the sentiment, okay? You could stamp it off if you were worried about not being able to read the sentiment. That would also be an option. And then I'm going to layer, excuse me, I have another die cut circle in Pool Party. And it is going to layer behind my sentiment. And anytime I'm layering, I like to use Tombow so that I get that wiggle time and can get it perfectly centered. So we put that on there like that. And then I'm going to pop this up with some dimensionals. So I'm going to add probably 4 or 5. I like my sentiments to stay popped. I don't want them to get crushed. I also like them to stay on my card. So I tend to use more than some people. Okay, now when I did this, I didn't want to layer it right behind because I didn't want to cover up that pretty wreath. So I'm offsetting it so that that wreath is kind of peeking out, and I'm sticking it down onto the front of my card. Okay, my last couple of touches, I need a bow. So here is your weekly bow tying lesson. So here is more of that pretty ruffled ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to take the ribbon between my index and middle finger, and I'm going to pinch it and create 2 little bunny ears. All right, so there are my bunny ears. Then I'm going to cross my left bunny ear over the right one. I'm going to wrap it around and bring it through that little hole. And there's my bow. So easy. Now this ribbon can be a little bit finicky when you're tying it. You have to kind of play with it a little bit to get your bow to look the way you want. The ruffles kind of make the knot not want to lie flat. So you just kind of need to keep pulling and playing with it until you get it exactly the way you want it. Okay, and then we're going to trim our tails, and then that tail's a little on the long side. Let's do that, that's better. And then I'm going to take some glue dots and press the knot of my bow into the glue dot, and then that is going to get stuck down just beside my sentiment, just like that. Okay, now the last little touch, I always like to add a little bit of shimmer or bling. So I've got a few basic pearls here. And I'm going to take my take your pick tool because it is the best thing ever, and just pop a couple of these little pearls on here. What did I do? I think I did 5. When you are placing these little guys, any kind of embellishments like this, remember to think in odd numbers, okay? And think about creating triangles. So here's a triangle here, here's a triangle here, okay? These embellishments tend to look better if you space them so that they are in a triangle. Okay, so triangle, triangle. Does that make sense? All right, that is it. That was a quick and easy card, right? Quick and easy is the name of the game when I do my buffets. So I want to keep my design simple. Now on my sample, I'll just show you quickly the inside. I'm not going to take the time to do it right now, but on the inside, I used another sentiment. Hi, Jamie. Thanks for tuning in. How you doing? I used another sentiment from the Beautiful Bouquet set. Okay, so wishing you a day of love and happy memories, followed by many days and years of the same. So this could be used for a wedding or an anniversary, or I don't know, there's probably lots of other occasions that it could be used for, but that's what I kind of had in mind with this one. And then I just stamped some more of the doily images along the bottom to tie it into the front. Okay, quick and easy is the name of the game on that one. All right, now I need to get some inks out of the way and some stamps out of the way, and clean a couple stamps because we're going to use those doilies again on the next card. Get my chamois going here. Yes, it looks disgusting. I know my chamois, it looks horrible. This is actually not my dirtiest looking one, but the thing is, they still look, ink does not transfer. It totally still cleans my stamp. So am I worried that it looks bad? Nope, not even a little. All right, next up, we have this one. This is my favorite. I love this sort of vintagey kind of look, and I love using my embossing mats. Now you may not know what I'm talking about, so I'm going to show you what they are. So the embossing mat is what I used to create, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, hi Ann, how are you? Is what I used to create this embossed image in the background. This is not an embossing folder. This is actually this die. Remember this die that I showed you at the beginning? Okay, so what I did, I've still got some bits in here. I'm just noticing. Let's poke some of those guys out. What I did, I'm actually going to show you, is I laid this on my card front, or on my cardstock, and then ran it through the Big Shot with the embossing mats, and my die turned into an embossing plate. Okay, so let me show you how I did that. So I have just a plain piece of Crumb Cake cardstock. So this is cut to 5 1/4 by 4. Okay. And I'm just going to bring in my Big Shot platform. So here is my standard platform. Okay. This is the newer platform. If you have one of the older platforms with the tabs that open and close, you want all of your tabs open. Okay. So it's just the basic platform. And you're going to put down a cutting plate. And yes, my cutting plates look bad, but hey, they still work. Doesn't matter how ugly they are. Then my die is going to go down with the cutting side up. Okay, this is important because this is the side that we're going to impress into our cardstock. Okay, so platform, cutting pad, die, and then my cardstock goes on. So you need to think about where you want your embossed image to be. So I kind of did it there. Okay, then this is the blue embossing mat. So this comes in a set. How can I click to close captions? I am not sure, Anne. I'm not sure how to do that. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that one. I didn't think I had the captioning turned on, which is strange. I'm not sure. Anyhow, so I've got my cardstock, and here is my blue embossing mat. So I'm going to carefully just lay that over top of my cardstock. And then this is the embossing, or the embossing mat or embossing plate. Okay, you don't want to use your regular cutting plate with this. It will cut your embossing mat. You don't want to do that. Okay, so you're just going to take the white plate that comes with the embossing mats. It goes on top, and then you run it through your Big Shot. Okay, when you do, through the magic of television, you're going to get something that looks like this. Okay, isn't that pretty? It's a beautiful raised image, just as though you did it with an embossing folder. So all of your dies can be used as an embossing tool. Isn't that amazing? So not only can you die cut, but you can also emboss with them, which is fantastic. Talk about extending the use of your dies. All right, now before we do anything more to this card, we're going to do some distressing and a little bit of, we're going to vintage it up a little bit. So I've got some Crumb Cake ink and a sponge dauber. So I'm going to just take and pick up some of the ink with my dauber. And first thing I want to do is highlight that embossing. So all I'm doing is going sort of in a circular motion, so I hit all the sides of the embossed image and really lightly over it to make it sort of pop. Okay, and you can probably see that a whole lot better now. Then I'm just going to go ahead also and add a little bit of ink around the edges of my cardstock. Now, one thing I will mention, when you use the embossing mat, sometimes you'll get wrinkling. Depends on how detailed the die is that you are embossing with. Okay, this is a very detailed die, so you can see there's a bit of wrinkling there. You know what? I actually love that because it totally works with this sort of vintage vibe I'm going for here. So I'm just going to take, and I'm actually going to add extra ink over those wrinkles because I want to bring those out. And I'm just adding ink all the way around the edge of my cardstock here. When you're adding ink this way, you want to work in a circular motion. Okay, I'm not dabbing like this. Okay, look, see what I get when I dab? You get little circles like that. We don't want that. We want to get a nice even shading of ink. So we always work in a circular motion. You want to start off the edge of the paper. That's so you don't get that when you ink up your dauber and you start and you do that. You see what happens? You get that blob of concentrated ink right when you start. You don't want that. It's not going to be kind of the look that you're going for here. Okay. All right. So there is my distressed. I can't hear. Oh, okay. And you can turn on captioning. I'm just not sure how to do it. What I will do for you once I finish live here, I will upload this to YouTube and I can turn on captioning in YouTube for you, so you'll be able to watch it back and be able to hear the the instructions. Okay. All right. So here is my background. Now, before I add anything to it, I'm going to take my small doily image and I'm going to just stamp a few times. So it's actually going to go this way. So I'm going to add just a couple of little images, just sort of peeking onto the edges like that. Okay. All right. Get that out of the way. Next, I'm going to show you how I stamped and got the dual color on my flowers. I did these ahead of time just so that I could die cut them and be quick, but I'm going to show you how you can do two color stamping. So for this, I'm using my Stampin' Write markers. My colors are Highland Heather and Mossy Meadow. And what I'm going to do is just take an ink. I always start with my lighter color first whenever I'm inking with my markers. I'm going to start with my lighter color and ink those. Now, do you know why I start with my lighter color? Anybody have any ideas? It's because I don't want to cross-contaminate my markers. If I started with the dark green and did all the stems and everything and then accidentally hit part of that dark green with my lighter colored marker, it would pick up that dark green color. And I don't want to contaminate my marker with the dark green. It's okay to go the opposite because the lighter color is not going to really show up on the dark green marker tip. So I'm just taking, and the best way to do this is with the edge of your brush tip. Okay, all of our markers are dual tipped. One is a writing tip, the other is a brush. Okay. And when you go to stamp, now I don't have a piece of cardstock to stamp on, I'll just stamp it on my grid paper. When you stamp, you get that lovely two-color image. Okay, so what I did is I stamped that twice on some Whisper White cardstock and then ran it through the Big Shot with the coordinating die from the set of dies and cut those out. Okay, all right, now we're going to stamp our sentiment. So here I have a 3/4 inch wide strip of Whisper White cardstock. And I have the Happy Mother's Day sentiment. This is from the Strong and Beautiful stamp set that's in the Occasions Catalog. It is an absolutely fantastic set that has tons of awesome images for the women in our lives. Okay. The blue square mat is part of the embossing mat package that is in the annual catalog. I can show you that as soon as I'm finished this card. Okay, so now I'm going to create some banner ends. I'm using my tailored tag punch, and I'm going to slide this in, and excuse me, my voice is cutting out on me. I always like to go in until I see the edge of my sentiment and then back off, and that gives me an idea of how much or how far away I am from the edge of where the words end. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the other end, and I didn't think this through as well because I really wanted to have more space at the other end, but that's okay. We'll punch this end, okay, and set that aside. All right, now I'm going to take and add my flowers to this. So for this, I just glue dotted these on, okay? I didn't worry about getting them in any particular orientation. I just kind of wanted to stick them down. So I put a glue dot on the back of one of the stems and stuck it on to the end of my sentiment. And then I'll do another one. We'll maybe do this one a bit lower. How about there? Looks good to me. Okay, now that is ready to go onto my card. Before I do that, I have another one of these beautiful die cut wreaths. I absolutely love this die, so I used it twice. So what I'm going to do again is just peel off my backing. I did exactly the same thing as I did on the previous card. Okay, so I put my multi-purpose adhesive sheets on the back. Okay, and then I'm going to get rid of my little stragglers here. My stray bits, and then that is going to get stuck down sort of towards the left edge of my card like this. Oh, still got a couple of bits under there. Get rid of them. They're going to be hidden by the sentiment anyway. All right. Now, when I put this on my card, I actually use some dimensionals to pop it up a little bit. Again, dimensional is always fun in a handmade card. So we put 2 or 3 across there, and then I used a couple of minis on the flowers. Gotta love the mini dimensionals. They allow us to make sure all of our card parts stay stuck. Okay, and then we'll get rid of our backings. There we go. And then pop this onto the front of our card. And this time I want to try and get my sentiment straight. Okay, so I'm not worrying about my flowers. I'm just focusing on my little sentiment strip and trying to make sure that is on nice and straight. Okay, now if these bother you that they're kind of hanging out loose, you can certainly take a glue dot, and here's a little tip. And all you do is you take and you kind of roll it into a little tube, or a glue booger, as some of my customers like to say, and we just kind of goop that onto the end. Oh, I've still got a little stray bit there. There we go. And then stick that down, and then it's not kind of hanging out. You can do the same thing with this one if you like. Okay, all right. Now I'm ready to glue this onto the front of my card. So same size card base as with the last one. So it was 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I'm going to fold that in half, burnish it with my bone folder, and then I'm going to add a little bit of fast fuse. And pop this onto the front of my card. And you're going to see the nice contrast. One of the reasons it's nice to ink the edges of your cardstock is it kind of frames it a little bit and makes it stand out against that background. Okay, now the finishing touches. It's always nice to add some nice little embellishment. So here I have some of the Floral Romance seals. These are in the Occasions Catalog, and they look like wax seals. And the best part is that they're self-adhesive. So all I did is I just took and stuck one of those right onto the front of my card, just like that. Easy peasy. And then, again, because I like my bling, we're going to add a few gold pearls. So these are the metallic gold pearls, which are also in the annual catalog. I always like to remember that we have an awesome annual catalog, even though we have these new mini catalogs. It's really great to remember that we have the annual as well. And there's my finished card. How easy was that, eh? Pretty darn easy. All right, now before I go on to the next card, I'm going to quickly show you where to find those embossing mats in the catalog, because they are very, very easy to miss. I've had many, many people wonder what the heck they were and how they missed them. So let me just quickly show you. Bring in my annual catalog, and they are at the back with your other Big Shot accessories. No, they're not. I lied. Where are they? I thought they were back there. I was sure they were back there. Where are they? Okay, prize for the first person that tells me which page they're on. I could have sworn they were in here somewhere. You know what? When in doubt, use the index. Embossing, folders, paste powder. Of course, they're not in here. All right. There they are, Big Shot accessories. Ha! Page 221. Okay, so bottom of page 221, this is where you'll find your magnetic platform, your replacement cutting plates. There it is, Big Shot embossing mats. They're $21. Okay, so you're going to get that white piece, the blue piece. There's also another gray piece, which is for using embossing pre-die cut pieces. Okay, so it is a great value because it turns all of your dies into embossing tools as well. Okay, all right, let's get this stuff out of the way. Where did I put my basket? There it is. We'll get all of these goodies out of the way and bring in our last card. So the last card we're going to do is the one that I posted earlier today. It is this one, and it is just so sunny and happy and cheery. I absolutely love it. I love navy and yellow together. It's one of my favorite color combinations. In fact, my very first apartment, my kitchen was all navy and yellow. I just love how cheerful that combination is. Okay, so we're going to do this one. This is just a whole lot of stamping. It's not terribly difficult. I'm going to start with a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 inch cardstock, and we're going to stamp our doily images. So I'll bring them back in. Probably need to clean. Yeah, need to clean this guy. There we go. All right, so I'm going to start with my blue images. Normally I would start with the lighter color just because it's easier to clean and all of that. But I want my blue images to sort of be at the foreground, and I want to place them really carefully and then fill in with the yellow afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to take my Night of Navy ink, and I'm going to start with my larger doily. And I'm going to stamp it sort of in the upper right and again in the lower left. Okay, just like that. Then I'm going to stamp the sort of medium-sized doily twice. Okay, and then I'm going to take that little medallion stamp and add a few of them. So we'll kind of go one here, we'll do one here, and maybe one up here. Okay, and again, that gives it that sense of motion, like the doilies are kind of falling across the page. All right, so now I need to quickly clean these because I'm going to use the yellow ink, and I really don't want navy ink in my yellow ink pad. So we're going to clean these. Look how quickly those clean, okay? They were covered in navy ink, and it's gone. This is the best thing ever. Where has this chamois been in all my stamping life? Okay, clean, no more ink. All right, now we're moving on to the yellow. Okay, this is Pineapple Punch. This is one of this year's in colors. And I'm going to try and fill in some of that background so that I get a nicely full and it provides sort of a backdrop for my navy ones. Okay, does that make sense? So there's 2 of the large. Okay, then I'm going to add a few small. Maybe one here, we'll do one here. I don't really need to worry about this middle section because it's going to end up covered. And then I'm going to do a couple of these medallions as well. Maybe pop one in here. I'm not going to see much of that. We'll do one over here. How's that? Okay, really easy. These images are absolutely beautiful. They're so detailed. They just are really beautiful. All right, we are ready to go ahead and glue this onto the front, or onto our mat. We're not doing it on our card yet. So just like I did on the first card, I've cut a slightly larger mat. So again, this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue that onto my mat. Just like that. Okay. And then I can fold my card base. Okay, again, same dimensions for my card base, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to fold it in half, burnish it with my bone folder, and then add some adhesive and stick it down. Just like that. Okay, so there is my card front, basically done. Now I'm just going to bring in the original. I'm going to show you how I did this, two-tone sentiment here. So for that, I'm actually going to bring in my Stamparatus. Now, some of you have no idea what I'm talking about. The Stamparatus is our stamp positioning tool, and it is the best thing since sliced bread, because before Stamparatus, we had to kind of eyeball lining up stamped images that had to layer. And that sometimes was successful and sometimes not. This has taken the guesswork out of it. All right, so what I'm going to do, I always want to start with a piece of cardstock that is larger than what I want to end up with. And that is simply because the Stamparatus has a metallic base and it comes with these rare earth magnets. And by using the rare earth magnets, it allows me to keep that cardstock in place. It's not going to move, okay? So I put my cardstock down just to show you what I have underneath here. The Stamparatus comes, this is the base of it, okay? And then it comes with this foam mat. The foam mat you need to use anytime you're using clear photopolymer stamps, okay? That gives a little bit of a cushion and you get a better stamped image. Then I've added a piece of small grid paper, and that's just to help me line up my cardstock when I put it on. So now I have a nice corner here. And I'm putting my magnet down to hold the cardstock in place. Okay, you with me so far? All right, now I'm going to take my Pineapple Punch ink. I have already gone ahead and mounted my stamp. So the cool thing about Stamparatus is that we have these plates that are removable, which means I can mount one stamp on one side of the plate, take it out, flip it over, and mount another stamp on the other side. So it gives me two surfaces, okay? So here I have the wishes, okay? And I'm just gonna take and ink that up with the yellow, okay? And then I am going to very gently do what we call stamp off, okay? So I'm just gonna press that lightly, just to remove a little bit of that ink, okay? Now I'm gonna take my cardstock and flip it over, because the whole purpose of that was just to get rid of some of the ink so that when I do go to stamp completely, I get a lighter shade. Okay, so now I can go ahead and stamp that, and I get a lighter shade. All right, next I'm going to take and flip my plate. Okay, and here I have the lower, I don't know if you can see that here. There we go. This is the bottom half that is going to be darker. Okay, and so again, I'm going to ink it up in the yellow, but this time I'm going to leave it full strength. I'm not going to stamp off. So I'm going to just close my plate, and that is going to line up perfectly. Look at that. No more guesswork. Isn't that amazing? All right, now I'm going to take this plate out, and I'm going to bring in the second plate. Stamparatus actually comes with two sets of plates. Okay, so you've got 1 and 2, and here I've mounted the birthday image. All right, and for that, I'm going to use my navy ink. So I'm going to bring in my navy ink pad. And again, I'll just slide this over so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to ink up my birthday. Okay. And close my plate. Press. And there is my perfectly stamped image. Isn't that amazing? So this thing is awesome for anyone who has trouble holding blocks, anyone who has arthritis or any kind of strength issues in their hands. Anytime you need to line up layered images, it is fantastic. It's also awesome for mass production. So when I need to make 30 or 40 of a particular card, I will mount all my stamps on here. I just throw my cardstock in, boom, 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 away I go, and it's really, really quick. Okay, so what I would do now is pull this out, go over to my Big Shot and die cut. Now, again, through the magic of television, I have one that's already cut. In the interest of time, there it is. Okay, I die cut this using the stitched rectangles framelits. All right, so there is my perfectly aligned birthday wishes. All right, and what I did, and I realized when I earlier that I forgot to die cut another one of these, so I'm not going to worry about that particular piece on this one that I'm showing you, but this is another one of the edgelit images from the dies. I'll just bring it in here. It's this die here. Okay, so I just cut a little bit of that in navy just to add a little extra something along the bottom. But again, because I don't want to take the time to do one right now, I'm not going to worry about it. Here I have two of the smaller doilies that I've just die cut out of pineapple punch cardstock. So to glue these on, now I've seen a lot of people try to put little teeny dabs of glue onto here to stick it down. Here's a better idea. Just take and put some adhesive there and just stick it onto the back like that. Okay, and then you don't have to fuss with liquid glue, and it's really easy. Okay, all right, so then I have my other little guy. Now this one I did put some of the multi-purpose adhesive on because it's going to stick on the front. So it's going to go kind of down here, just like that. All right. Then I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back, just like this. One more down here. Get rid of those backings. There we go. Oh, you know what? I need one more up here. There we go. And that is going to get stuck down on the front of my card. Just like that, straight-ish. Okay. All right, last step, or last couple of steps, is to tie a double bow with twine. Now, I haven't showed this one yet in one of my videos, but here you go. So here I have some Night of Navy baker's twine. And what I'm going to do is basically fold a double length. So this is about probably 8-10 inches. Okay, so I've got a double length of that. I haven't worried about cutting the loop. That's just a double length. I'm going to make my bunny ear. Okay, now this is a little bit different from the way I do my bows. Normally I do 2 bunny ears, right? This time I'm just making 1 with the twine. I'm going to take the tail, I'm going to wrap it around that loop, and I'm going to bring it through the hole and pull. Whoops, did I get both? Yes, I did. Okay, now that doesn't look like much now, but if you play with your loops, you will end up with, oh, you stay there. You will end up with a cute little double bow as soon as I figure out where my loops are. There they are. Just like that. Okay. So tying double bows does not have to be rocket science. It's not for the gifted and talented. It is possible for anyone to tie a cute double bow. Okay. Then all I'm going to do is snip my tails. So these a bit shorter. Okay. And then a glue dot onto the knot. And I press that right on the end, or in the center of my doily, just like that. Okay. Last touch, again, is a little bit of bling, because, well, you can't have enough bling, right? So a couple of rhinestones here and there, and we'll do one little guy, I don't know, right there. There we go. Done and done. Cute and easy, right? Would look cuter without that, with that little border. Here, I'll give you the one that does have the little border. It does make a difference, doesn't it? Just that extra little touch. All right, now I'll show you what I did on the inside of this one. I didn't include another sentiment. All I did is stamp some more doilies. Sometimes it's fun to leave it without a sentiment and then add one depending on who you're giving it to. Oh, hi, Laura. So that's all I did on the inside of this one. Now I realized that I forgot to show you what I did on the inside of the Mother's Day card, and I wanted to show you because it has another beautiful sentiment from that Strong and Beautiful stamp set. Thanks, Laura. I'm glad you like it. So this one I just love. To the woman who does it all with grace and wisdom. This could go to anybody. It's not just for your mom, right? Anybody, any woman that you want to encourage, I think this is a beautiful sentiment. So that is a set that is definitely on my must-keep list. All right, so let me just bring in all the projects again. 1, 2, and reach. 3. Okay, there they are. And before I go, I also want to mention that today is the last day that you can get your order in for my Happy Tales online class. So I'm just going to bring in the ordering information for that. Okay, again, today's the last day. The class is free with a $60 order placed on my website using this host code. Okay, and I will post this in the video description so that if you want to refer to it later, you can. I'll just bring in again the projects to show you what you get in the class. So we have 3 basic cards. So this one's a cute little wedding card. Okay, puppy dog wedding. This is a pet sympathy card. And there's a birthday card. Okay, hey baby, how are you, Michelle? And then we have 2 fun folds. So this is a cute little shutter card. Okay, so a best friend leaves a paw print on your heart. Best friends forever. And this is a cute, fun little double gatefold. So this one actually latches, so it stays flat. And then you open it this way. Okay, so those are the 5 cards that are included. And then we also have included a 12 by 12 layout. Now I'm not sure you're going to be able to see all of this because the camera's a little close. But this is a 12 by 12 scrapbook layout. It could also be used as a framed decor piece. So you put your puppy pictures in there, put it in a 12 by 12 frame, and this would be adorable to have hanging on your wall along with your family photos, right? Our pets are our family. So that, again, online class today is the last day to get your order in for that. Ordering information is here, and it is free with a $60 order. Okay, now unfortunately this is only available in Canada. I did have a request from someone in the US and I am unable to ship across the border. That's part of Stampin' Up policy. So anyone in Canada who would like to get in on this class, I would love to have you join me. Today's the last day. Get your order in by midnight tonight. Okay, all right. There are our projects one more time. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I hope you have a great week. If you're in Southern Ontario, stay safe and warm tomorrow because we're going to get hit with yet another storm. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.